What's up, guys? So, I think in one of these first, look at my hair right there, it's so funny. In one of these first grief cores, I really brought up about how intentional I was sometimes in making slob cores and things because Riley appreciated so much. And while that's definitely true, I think it's not like everything I completely did was like guided towards Riley and I'm sending them like all these like little coded messages and things like that. Um like I was definitely aware and I think they had more of an influence on things I talk about and things I feel just because of the circumstances. But the more I've been thinking about it, like it wasn't their death that I was so worried about and grappling with that like led to this creative expression. And like it's not more so like I'm like screaming out from the mountains like trying to say the right thing to them because I'm so worried. Because like honestly at the at the origin and at the core of slobcore, I think it's more me grappling with my own death. um And it's just one of those, like I talked about in a recent one, the fact that literally, so I had a really bad panic attack. This was December 2021, and Riley was struggling in some ways. I don't remember exactly like which event or which maybe manic episode type thing had been happening, but I do remember like the this was a time where they were like my hackles were raised and we were trying to provide them support, but it's like really complicated and difficult and just wanting to know where they were and how best we can help them. So anyway, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember I got COVID in December 2021, and it was the same time I knew things had just like recently been trepidatious, and I was very frustrated that I like went into quarantine and wasn't able to be around with them. And I do remember we did like I think we played some video games and maybe we watched a movie or something. But like I if there was a time where they were really struggling, I think like one of the times maybe before that I basically hung out with them like 4 or 5 days in a row, and it felt really good to be able to do that. And that's something that like I felt good knowing that if that was ever a need, like I would have been there for them in whatever way they need, and while also knowing my own boundaries and my own capacity and what could help. And they were always good at understanding that. And but anyway, so I got COVID and I was frustrated because I wanted to be able to spend time with them because I was really worried about them, especially in this period. And that's the thing, like through this, there have been many times where I've been really worried about Riley's like safety and health and life. And it's just it hits extra hard because I wasn't in that same mode of worry when they did die. And they had actually mentioned that they were struggling a little bit, I think like the day before, but there was also a lot of signs of like progress, and they're like reaching out was like, hey, let's do something about this. And like we even checked in on them and they were saying they were okay. And one of the reasons it does seem more like they didn't intend to die acutely, but we won't know anything, and we don't even know how much we're going to find out when we do find out from toxicology. So in some ways there's just going to be things we won't know, and that's okay. But anyway, in this time, I also, when I had COVID, I had the worst panic attack I've ever had. And I think being sick with COVID definitely contributed to it. But I had one where usually I get a lot of chest tightness and like what feels like right before what pain is. And sometimes I interpret that as I'm in pain, but then when I actually like get grounded within my body, I can feel my chest and like, oh no, it's actually not like I don't have heart pain or chest pain. But when I had COVID, that chest pressure and tightness whether it's because I was sick or whether it's because like my mental um, symptoms were like that much more powerful when I was sick. Um, I literally had, I think at one point my blood pressure. The main reason I called 911 is because I'll always check my blood pressure when I'm having a panic attack. And sometimes it's elevated because I'm in a stress state, but I know that it's not at heart attack levels. And so that's like a way that I can calm down. But man, this one when I had COVID, like I did that first and then like tried laying back down, but I was just still up and it was still, ooh, it was a lot. And it was like keeping me up and my chest was actually hurting, like actually in pain because I'm sick. And I'm like, okay, I have actual chest pain. I take my blood pressure again, and it's like starting to get pretty high. I don't remember the exact readings on that second one. Um, but then I'm like, okay, it's really high, but I think it's just a panic attack. Like, I just need to breathe, and was definitely stressing out, and then try to go back to sleep again. But then I like am shaking a lot and taking my blood pressure again, and it's like 210 over something, and that's in like you need to get checked out range. And so that's when I really start freaking out, and that's when I call. Did I? Yeah, first I called 911 because it was like, oh, I have COVID. I can't call anyone to drive me there, and I just need the ambulance because I need to get to the hospital because I'm having a heart attack because I'm about to die. And then I called the ambulance and like I like wasn't sure. I was like, "Oh, maybe I'm okay," but then it was like I'm here alone and I want help. So then I called the ambulance. Ambulance is coming, and then I call mama and papa, and I basically like tell them what's happening and that I feel like I'm dying, and the ambulance is coming, but I wanted to tell them like how much I loved them and stuff. And that's pretty heavy, the fact that like thankfully it was just a panic attack, not to discount how awful it was. Literally when the ambulance came to me, I was laying on the ground, I like, couldn't walk, and I was wearing a mask, and I like was so out of it that I completely puked into my mask in the lobby, and like my body was having a severe physical reaction. Um some of the paramedics were kind of jerks, which I don't know, like they're obviously overworked, and it was at the beginning of Omicron is when I had it, and I got like checked out overnight, and it was a lot. But it's really interesting because that was right after I had started Slobcore, and I didn't really know what it was going to become yet. Like I definitely enjoyed it, and I liked being able to share my cooking, and I kind of liked the idea of the setup that I had, but I didn't like know where it was going. I didn't know how often I was gonna do it, but it really was having COVID, and I made a lot of videos during having COVID, and like those were my first ones where I got more raw and kind of talked about like this is so fucked up and like COVID's so bad and all those sorts of things. And then I it was interesting because that was I it's so it makes me so frustrated because it that wasn't a near death experience, even though it was really freaky, and I'm glad I got checked out that night. Um, but it's so frustrating because like that Riley did die, and like those things couldn't happen, and it wasn't something that they were even knew that they were in trouble and enough to call. Like their passing seems to have been pretty peaceful, but anyway, yeah. But after that, like having that experience and coming out of like at that point I thought I had super immunity, so it's like I can do anything. I can like I'm not going to catch COVID again. Which I haven't yet, but I still definitely could cuz variants and all that such. Um but I just like had such a wellspring of like energy, and literally they like had shaved my chest in certain parts when I had that happen, and yeah, kind of just bursting from that, I really did like try and appreciate my life more and try and like make things happen. And there was like social anxiety stuff that I still deal with from time to time, but having that experience was kind of like so scary and so isolating that I really just was able to shed a lot of worries and to drop a lot of things and to be a little more bold and to put myself out there more and to be willing to mess up and to be willing to um like work and to communicate well and also just to like get out and explore what there is to explore and to reconnect with more people. And it's really cool because I mean that plays such a part to where I am today, because it did feel like I'm about to die and life is so fleeting. Like I could die at any moment, so I need to be out here celebrating myself and celebrating my friends and making fun art and just not worrying so much. And so it really is like one of the things that keeps me motivated and keeps me um yeah, just keeps me around and keeps me energetic. And I so wanted to be able to find a way for Riley to dig into some of that energy and to have hope and to yeah, find a routine that really works and feels good and to have something to put all their energy and their love and their care in, because they had so much of that. But yeah, like I really wanted them to try and get back into their ceramics because their ceramics were so amazing. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of this stuff, their executive function just wasn't at a level where they they had like great ideas and they started lots of things and they tried lots of things and they tried to figure stuff out. But yeah, just nothing really took. And whether it was results of their drug use that made it hard to like keep things up or to find that passion or to I don't know, whatever they needed, they just yeah, it wasn't quite there. And they still had hope and there still was things they wanted to do, and they understood that healing wasn't linear, and they really did give themselves a lot of love and a lot of understanding and compassion. But then they also sometimes completely beat themselves up with shame and guilt and anger and just a lot of the disorganization. Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word. Gosh, this one's so long too. Yeah, I hope you like watching pasta boil. But yeah, so that's all to say. My central thesis that I started and then I just went off to wherever I just went, I don't even really know right now, is that yes, Slobcore was for Riley and they loved it, and it was such a nice thing to share and to know that I could connect with them. But at the end of the day, and the beginning of the day, Slobcore is like for me and by me and for all of you and by all of you. And it's something that is kind of formless, and I don't know what it's going to be like and if it's even going to be Slobcore and whatever my creative energies go to. But it is interesting the way that panic attack, near death feeling experience really was like such a big thing for me and such a big like turning point. And it's still something that I do like hold on to. And yeah, I guess it just sucks that like drug use is so extra dangerous these days, and that Riley didn't even get a chance to have that bottom hitting rock bottom or near death experience or something that really scared them out of it. That yeah, likely it seems that just their use, they maybe hit a wrong batch or something, or we don't know. And I don't think it helps speculate, but of course my mind keeps going there. Anyway, this is 15 minutes long. I don't think you can follow this at all. But you know what? This is for me, baby. And it's just extra bonus if it helps you in any way, which I've heard from many people, and I'm so thankful for, because I feel always I feel like, am I just being annoying? Am I talking about my grief too much? But you know what? This is pretty ginormous, and there's a lot to think about and a lot to talk about. And I feel so supported, and I know that this is a safe place to do so. So those are my thoughts. It's late, and I'm done. Goodbye.